What's going on, guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of Crypto Zombie. So today is Tuesday. By the way, shout out to everyone that came out to the Crypto Somniac live stream last night. We definitely had a lot of fun. And that being said, right before we move on with everything, I just wanted to let you guys know Unibright was actually nice enough to send me some t-shirts. So I have a large t-shirt. It's got the Crypto Zombie logo on it, and it says Crypto Zombie hodls Unibright, even though I actually don't, in full transparency. But it's a very nice t-shirt. If you guys want, you can definitely get it. So it's a size large, it's a v-neck. All you got to do is just drop a comment below and just say something about the shirt, and I'll pick a winner tomorrow. Just my way of saying thank you, guys. So, that being said, as usual, here we are again with the markets. If you notice, we have a new guy right here, BSV. That's right. So, BSV is now officially in the top. It is number 9. So, that's Satoshi's vision. Okay. So, we also have Bitcoin sitting at $3,719. Bitcoin dominance actually slipped 0.7%. So, you got to say to yourself, where's the money going? Usually when we tend to see these declines, Bitcoin dominance tends to pump. It's doing the opposite this time. This is a little strange. We can talk about this maybe a little later. So we have $121 billion market cap. And actually Digibyte is up today, followed by Ravencoin, Zilliqa, Chainlink, Nem, Quark Chain Maker, Bosscoin, Status, and IOST. Oh, thinking back to the days that Charlie Lee said, okay, sorry to spoil the party, but I need to rein in on the excitement a bit. Buying Litecoin is extremely risky. I expect us to have a multi-year bear market like the one we just had, where Litecoin dropped 90% in value, $48 to $4. So if you can't handle Litecoin dropping to $20, don't buy. Interestingly enough, this tweet was put out December 11th, and if we have a look at the charts right here, December 11th puts us right around a $17,100 Bitcoin. So, man, if Charlie Lee didn't call the top, I don't know who did. Not to mention he sold his Litecoin right around this point, but that's for another day. Now, breaking news, guys. Let's get into some good news today. Enough about the doom and gloom. So we have the world's second largest stock exchange, Nasdaq, is planning to introduce a Bitcoin futures market within the first quarter of 2019. So now we have Bakkt, we have Fidelity, and we also have Nasdaq. But this keeps happening. Anyway, let's continue. So, sources told Bloomberg that Nasdaq has been cooperating with the CFTC to receive regulatory approval to operate a compliant cryptocurrency futures market. So, currently, the demand from institutional investors for crypto can only be evaluated through the numbers that Bakkt, Fidelity, Goldman Sachs, and BitGo Custody and Coinbase Custody allow, because a lot of these over-the-counter markets, they're not really giving away the details. We don't really know what's happening in the background. More on that later, so stick around. But the entrance of Nasdaq in a long-lasting bear market and downtrend suggests that the company sees sufficient institutional demand from the U.S. market. A conglomerate in the size of Nasdaq does not allocate a large portion of its resources to develop an infrastructure for a new asset class unless it is certain that the demand for growth will actually occur over time. And this is what we were talking about last night. We were saying, why would Fidelity, who is controlling 7.2 or 7.3, whatever it is, trillion dollars worth of assets, come over to this measly little $120 billion marketplace if they didn't see some serious value in what cryptos had to offer. Anyway, moving on. It says, depending on the delivery of Nasdaq's plans by the second quarter of 2019, the cryptocurrency market could have Nasdaq and the New York Stock Exchange, two of the largest exchanges in the global market, operating Bitcoin futures. So let's talk about Bakkt, right? It got pushed back, but everyone's saying it's due to market conditions. Well, they actually clarified that, and they said that it wasn't. They said an inside source had actually told these guys, or the people that are writing this article, that the current market downturn has nothing to do with the rescheduling of phase 2 of Bakkt. In truth, the clarification became necessary amid a bunch of speculations that it was poor market performance influenced by ICE decision to extend the launch date. But actually, they said that a lot of people said that it really wasn't a great time. Plus, I guess they're telling me people were complaining about the holiday season. I don't know. That's just what they're saying. However, what what the heck is phase 2 anyway? What is phase 2 of Bakkt? Well, basically, cut and dry, it is going to see Microsoft deploy a cold storage solution onto the platform, so users are going to be able to enjoy a top-notch futures trading service via the platform that offers tamper-proof security and advanced features. And also, don't forget, we have Starbucks that's going to play a critical role in developing regulated and trusted apps, so the apps will enable users to convert their digital currencies to the US dollar using Bakkt. So basically, that's phase 2, I guess. They need some extra time for that. Now, we also have some good news coming out of SEC Commissioner Hester Peirce. Some of you may know her as Crypto Mom, okay? But the thing that's interesting is that she actually represents 1/5 of the SEC's regulatory body. So she does have some pull when it comes to it. You might be familiar with her basically when the whole Winklevoss ETF got denied. She was saying that essentially these guys are stifling innovation and, et cetera, et cetera. So anyway, she says that she sees significant intellectual capital being invested by both institutional investors and exchanges towards the development of a Bitcoin ETF. So also, she added that she felt that the SEC in general treats innovation with caution, feeling that the body maintains it as safer to simply put the brakes on, okay, instead of, actually moving forward with these things. So she suggests that the SEC that they need to figure out a way of being less cautious and letting innovation go forward, which is basically what we said before. And also, I wanted to just bring up again some of the comments, some of the sentiment that's been going around the market between last week and this week so far. We did talk about Angel Versetti, and he was basically saying that we are experiencing a strong correction, but the bubble has not formed. Now, a lot of people were like, what are you talking about? The bubble hasn't formed. The bubble's totally burst. Well, he basically says all bankers and financiers jumping onto the crypto train signal that the bubble is yet to come. He says, I think when all cryptocurrencies and tokens will be worth 15 to 20 trillion USD, then we will see a bubble. Let's not forget how big the .com bubble was. That bubble was anywhere between 6 to 7 something trillion, depending on who you ask your sources, right? Crypto only saw 800 billion, right? Let's keep going. Let's keep moving on. So, of course, commentators have drawn comparisons between the current bear market and the dot-com bubble of the 1990s. Now, according to Matthew Newton, an analyst on the online investment platform eToro, he says, while this is inevitable, I'd venture to suggest it's not particularly useful. It's a bit like proclaiming the end of the FTSE 100 at the end of 2008. One of the benefits of a bear market is it weeds out people who are looking to make a quick buck and aren't interested in the underlying technology. Those who understand the technology and see its benefits tend to stick around, adding value to the market. So he concludes by saying that institutions and governments alike are beginning to accept that cryptocurrencies are likely to become an integral part of the financial system. Regardless of price moves, it's clear that cryptocurrency and its community is here to stay, with institutions offering new models of trading as we've previously talked about. We know there's a lot of things coming in. Or you could take this stance. So you had Ryan X, interestingly enough. Now, this came out on September 6th, and he basically said 2 long-term possibilities. Same exact tweet, except it says Bitcoin Cash. Now, he recently updated the tweet to Bitcoin SV. So this is what he says. Number 1, all cryptos go to 0. In my humble opinion, which it doesn't really count for much, I don't think that's happening. Number 2, he says Bitcoin SV goes to $1 million per coin and all other cryptos go to 0. Only Bitcoin SV has economics that work long term, but even BSV will fail without massive growth. Adoption trumps everything. Well, that's one way to look at it. We also have Anthony Pompliano. Now, he had an opportunity to talk on CNBC's Squawk Box. So, he's been making his rounds. He's been all over recently. And basically, he says that he believes that the Bitcoin price is essentially going to bottom out around 85%. We've seen a lot of different people calling this 3K bottom. Essentially, he says that this is based on previous experiences in the crypto markets, the fact that he's been involved in this for quite some time. He says 85% from all-time high is about where we'll end up. This puts us around $3,000. We came close over the weekend, but we probably have a lot more to fall. He also goes on to say, Bitcoin was overvalued in December of 2017. There's more sellers than buyers this year, so the price goes down. But he says there's 3 things that you got to remember, and I was quite impressed with this, guys, so check this out. The first is that this is a transaction settlement layer. It's the most secure in the world. It's got to be worth something. It can't go to zero. The second is that it's the best performing asset class in the last 10 years. Hands down, literally no argument. Bitcoin has outperformed literally everything, okay? That's something to keep in mind. It's outperformed the S&P, the Dow, Nasdaq, everything, okay? During the longest bull run. And so it is expected 280% drops during that time, and it's still up 400%. And the thing is, most of this was done by retail, if not all of it. So that's something to definitely keep in mind. So basically, long story short, what he says is, what I think you're seeing is a washout of retail investors. People that bought too high, lost too much, said, screw this, I'm out, right? But this is just the beginning, guys. Now, it's not all bright and sunny. I do believe personally we have some turbulent times ahead. I do not think this is the end of the road. I do believe that there may be a potential chance to go a little bit lower. Obviously, we have a few other people that are also echoing this in the space as well. One is Vinny Lingham. You may be familiar with him. He's the CEO over at Civic, which is the identity app, okay? So if we come down here, he was also on CNBC, and he was talking about how he thinks that Bitcoin is going to be range-bound for a while, between 3,000 and 5,000, at least 3 to 6 months. But he did say, kind of on a positive note, I don't think we'll break through the support level of 3,000 just yet. He said, I think there's a lot of buying in the short term around that mark, but if we don't get out of the crypto bear market cycle within the next 3 to 6 months, then he thinks we could see it drop below 3K. Another thing, he also goes on to say that you can't have this sort of volatility in an asset class when you want big investors to come in. He actually currently says that in his opinion, he thinks that Bitcoin is a little bit too risky as an investment in its current state, and that it has been sort of typecast as a store of value rather than a payment method. That was something else that we were talking about last night as well. However, some people would say, well, what kind of store of value goes from 20K, all the way down to, 3K? But then again, on the flip side, what kind of store of value was $8 and now it's, 3,000, whatever it is today. So the other thing that he brought up, which is something that a lot of people bring up as well, is the block size. He says that the original narrative that I bought into was that it's a payment network that could compete with Visa and MasterCard at scale, but Bitcoin can't get there because the community has basically blocked a capacity increase from 1 megabyte upwards, okay? So we know that this is all to do with block size. This has a lot to do with Bitcoin SV, why they've gone to a massively high size. But the thing is that in reality, most of the blocks right now really aren't even getting filled to that capacity. However, if we do anticipate Bitcoin being a full, world currency, then yes, this is something we do need to pay attention to moving forward. Another thing that we need to talk about too is the ICOs. Now, you can't ignore the fact that this happened. So one interesting thing is, according to this, you could see that the top 15 ETH holding ICOs are holding strong. So in the last 30 days, they've only sold 2.5% of their ETH holdings despite a 50% drop in the price of ETH. So this is pretty impressive. You can see some of the projects in here include Digix DAO, Golem. You have a few others, Gnosis, Loopring, Kyber, okay? But on the flip side, we've also seen a huge amount of ICOs selling their ETH in the past week. In fact, over 100,000 ETH has been sold. But something even more interesting than just talking about these ICOs dumping their ETH on the markets is the fact that they've raised a lot of money, and a lot of them don't have products, and even worse than that, some of them don't even have any volume, like trading whatsoever. In fact, if you look right here, it says every day last year, at least one project was launched, and those ICOs in total raised more than $5 billion. However, if you come down here and look at some of the liquidity, some of these are absolutely ridiculous, okay? Some of these coins have volume so low that on certain days, it actually reported 0. So that is something that we must be concerned about as well. Now, here is the question of the day. This is the million-dollar question. Are institutional investors accumulating Bitcoin while retailers panic? Do we even have to read this article? I think you already know the answer, but let's dive in and have a look at what's going on here. Guys, of course they're accumulating. Let's be real. OTC. Anyway, over the past month, the cryptocurrency markets have experienced one of its worst sell-offs in all of 2018 as Bitcoin has dropped 35%. Now let's talk about Jake Chervinsky. Okay, he's basically with this guy, he's an attorney over at Kober and Kim. Anyway, what he said was, he kind of made a joke. So this is the investors, right? They say, with Bitcoin trading under $4,000, should I sell and buy back lower? Should I open a short? Should I just give up? Is it going to zero? Was this whole crypto thing a scam after all? To which the institutions reply, please keep selling us your cheap Bitcoin. Thank you. Okay? So, if institutional investors have been accumulating Bitcoin over the past months, then the price of Bitcoin should have increased rather than plummeted by more than 35%. Wrong. The problem, however, is concluding that because institutional investors are buying, price will immediately go up. But professional traders are experts at accumulating assets without affecting the market. So, he also said that institutions do not take naked long positions on speculative assets like Bitcoin. OTC, guys, that is the key word, over the counter. When you buy over the counter, you do not have slippage. You do not affect the books. Some of them don't even report the volume, which means that won't even show up on CoinMarketCap. That's a crazy thing to know as well. OTC market operators and custodial solution providers are not obliged to share their trading volumes, and as a result, data held by the OTC exchanges is rarely released to the public because of the lack of information offered by these exchanges. It's difficult to back up claims that institutions are accumulating, but there are some clues that have been giving it away. For example, we have Grayscale Investment reporting high inflows and university endowments like Yale taking positions that could signify a growing demand for Bitcoin, not to mention the fact that Bakkt themselves have confirmed that the demand is growing rapidly. So, I want to end on this final story before we move on to some other topics of the day, including some interesting news that came out about some crazy stuff going on with BitPay, which we'll get into in a minute. But basically, you have this from Edward Snowden. And this article is entitled, Bitcoin Won't Last, but Crypto is Here to Stay. Let's dive into this because this one kind of intrigued me a little bit. So basically, he said that the belief which supports Bitcoin acting as a global currency will merely transfer itself to another cryptocurrency instead of dissipating. So he's essentially saying that Bitcoin probably isn't going to be king and it'll be replaced by something else. So the second and more significant factor in his view is the fact that large segments of the general popularity view it as a bona fide means of exchange. According to Snowden, this belief in cryptocurrency frameworks as a method of transferring real monetary value outside of banking networks is transferable and will survive the death of Bitcoin. I mean, you've seen in Venezuela, those guys don't care if they're using Nano or XRP or Dash or whatever. Anything is better than their freaking money. You know what I'm saying? So, basically, he also goes on to say that the belief is how cryptocurrencies move enormous amounts of money across the world electronically without the involvement of banks every single day. One day, capital B, Bitcoin will be gone. But as long as there are people out there that want to be able to move money without banks, cryptocurrencies are likely to be valued. So he gives an example. He says, let's say Bank of America doesn't want to process a payment for someone like me. In the old financial system, they've got an enormous amount of clout, as do their peers, and they can make it happen. If a teenager, for example, in Venezuela wants to get paid in a hard currency for a web development gig that they did some research, let's say for someone in Paris, cryptocurrencies can make that possible. He can actually accept that. So he also cited a little bit about proof of work and proof of stake. He kind of criticized it, saying that neither of them really work that well. Basically, the two main hashing methods are great, but new ones should be developed, saying that, proof of work is basically environmentally destructive and it's kind of just favors the rich, the guys that can afford like BitMain can just keep making their own ASICs and mining. And then proof of stake is literally a direct handout to the rich in hopes that their greed will keep the system running. So guys, I have a question to ask you, okay? I have a poll going on right now on Twitter. Let's see, it has 163 votes. And my question is, what do you think is going to play out in the next 5 years? Do you think that Bitcoin will remain king? Do you think that we'll have a new number one coin? Definitely. Bitcoin's not going to stay number one, but Bitcoin's still going to be around. Do you think Bitcoin's going to die off totally? And then jokingly, I just made number 4 cryptos a fad. So far, Bitcoin remaining king is the winner. If you don't feel like going to my Twitter to get on the poll, you can just drop it below, see what's going on. But yeah, that'll be going on for a day. Let me know what you guys think. And actually, while we're over here at Twitter, you may have noticed, yikes, the BitPay copay wallet is vulnerable to keys being stolen due to the event stream module containing malware because it was handed over to maintenance to a random person. And yeah, so let's dive in and let's see if this affects you. Now, here's some crazy stuff, guys, before I even get into it. You guys know how Ohio actually is allowing for taxes to be paid in Bitcoin. Well, they were working with BitPay. So I really hope this does get fixed. Now, they claim it got fixed, but essentially, this is what happened, so please be careful. This may pertain to you. It says that they learned about this issue from a Copay GitHub report indicating that a third-party JavaScript library used by the apps had been modified to load malicious code. So this malware was deployed between versions 5.0.2 and 5.1, okay? Basically, it could potentially be used to capture your private keys and steal your Bitcoin and your Bitcoin Cash. So if this pertains to you, literally turn this video off right now and just, well, listen, and then you'll see what you got to do. Basically, the firm is asking users to not run or open their Copay wallet if they're running any of these versions. You need to update to version 5.2 without the malicious code for all the wallets, and they said that they are putting this out on the App Store as quick as they can. They also stressed that users should assume that private keys are all affected and have been compromised, so you should definitely set up a brand new wallet. So this means do not move your funds again to the same wallet. Do not enter your seed phrase because those are probably compromised. Your best bet is to just get the money out of the wallet into a brand new wallet. Welcome to the world of being your own banks, guys. This is exactly why some people are too lazy to get involved in these things. Now, moving on to some quick coin news before we get on out of here. I know that you guys got a lot to do today, so trying to keep it short. We have the Binance Info Gold Label project seeks to provide more information about credible blockchain companies. One of the first few invites for the project has been sent to Tron, which has now become one of the earliest members of the initiative. So basically, as a part of the Gold Label project, information about Tron's team members, real-time trading data, distribution of tokens, and other news related to Tron will be readily available to the users. The entire platform is designed to help get users accurate and comprehensive crypto market news and be informed about the latest data and project analysis. We also have some news coming out of Icon as well. So basically, they have launched the Icon Development Network on Amazon Web Services, which is going to allow developers to easily run a private instance of the Icon blockchain network. The main purpose is to provide a means to improve understanding, accessibility, and convenience when building on the Icon network. A private network built via AWS Cloud could be used to operate its own services as well in the context of a dApp and its production environment. We also have, now keep in mind this is only for Korea, but we do have Met Apps Plus having crypto cards for Cardano from November 27th to December 4th. So I guess you can get these preloaded or however this works. I'm not even sure. It's all in Korean, but I guess that's a good thing for Cardano coming out on some cards. And finally, guys, I just wanted to end on some kind of good news today. I like to end on some adoption. We have the University of Tokyo recently began an offering for a blockchain course at their graduate engineering school, courtesy of an $800,000 donation from a consortium made up of Ethereum Foundation members. So there you guys go. That being said, that is the news for the day, guys. If you want to get in, let me know. What do you think? Is Bitcoin staying king? Are we going to have a new number one? Is Bitcoin going to die, or is crypto just a fad? You can head on over to the Twitter for the poll, or just drop below. Remember, guys, if you want the t-shirt, just let me know. Just say something about the shirt. That being said, guys, I want to say thank you so much for coming back to the channel. I know we had a lot of news today kind of about like speculative price talk and stuff like that, but to be completely honest with you, that's what everyone's talking about. Everyone wants to know what is going to happen. Where is Bitcoin going? What's going to happen with these institutions coming in? Now we have Nasdaq as well. So we have Nasdaq, New York Stock Exchange, Fidelity, a lot of good things on the rise. Potentially we could still see the VanEck ETF, maybe not too sure about that one, but It looks like a lot of positivity on the horizon. However, in full transparency and honesty, we may have more sideways movement and potential down movement moving forward. So please be safe out there. Definitely be prepared. And that being said, guys, I want to say thank you so much for coming back to the channel. It's Tuesday. Always appreciate your views. Everyone that's been liking, subscribing, commenting, joining the Telegram chat, signing up for the Blockchain Brief newsletter, whatever it is, guys. I freaking appreciate you. I love you. And that being said, my name's K-Dub. This is Crypto Zombie. Until next time, stay crypto and peace out.